Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here with us. As always, quick reminder to join me on Locals, Ania K, 44.locals.com, and join my mailing list. Every other link will be down below this video. Today I have with me a guest who I had before several times, and I'm very happy to connect again with Jeff Brown. And all Jeff's books, also YouTube channel and his website, you will find down below the video. Welcome back, Jeff.
Well, thank you for that, Anya. I'm always happy to talk with you because it's informative, interesting, and you're a great hostess.
Thank you so much. I was looking forward to this conversation, especially this week, because there is a lot of going on in France right now. And Jeff happens to live in France, as some of my viewers already know. So Jeff, can you update us what is currently happening there?
I'm also a dual national French citizen and American citizen. So I vote here. I file my taxes here. So I'm full-fledged French, and I speak the language and read and write. So yeah, it's Macron was selected to be in office again, as we talked about in our earlier, the last discussion we had. There were apparently a lot of irregularities in the election, just like in the United States in 2020, and he was pretty much corralled into a second term as president. The right with Le Pen, and then sort of like a right-wing Republican group, along with the left. Nobody got a majority, but they have slowed down Macron's Le Petit Roi, the little king, Le Petit Roi. They have slowed down his destruction of the French socialist economy that France did so well with after World War II. They have slowed him down. He's now pretty much being reduced to making a fool of himself in front of global leaders like Vladimir Putin and the Germans, who he just, oh no, it's the Brits. Yes, the Brits came out and attacked him for saying he would not bomb Ukraine with atomic bombs.
But
anyway,
may I ask you
go ahead.
Here, those strikes that are happening, are they still going on, or they have been stopped?
Very much. No. They're very going on, and they're spreading. But here's the problem, and this happens every time. There's not one big union in France. There are a number of them. The biggest one, or the second biggest one, is CGT. And it just so happens I was sitting in a cafe, what was it, 2 days ago, waiting for my bus, and I saw they had the map, and I mean, the strikes are everywhere. It's the truckers who transport the fuel, because it's a very dangerous job, and the refineries all over France. But I saw down at the bottom, and I don't know if it was fake news or not, but they said, well, Total, there's two big companies here in France. There's Total, which is the equivalent of, the French petroleum giant, and then ExxonMobil, which is known here as ESSO, ESSO. And I saw down at the bottom of the thing, well, two of the unions say they have a deal with Total, but not yet CGT. So what they always do, they just divide and conquer. They go in, they make a deal. They make a deal with one of the unions, give them something. The unions can't think beyond their own constituency. They have no vision. They're just thinking about what they can get for their members, and everybody else can go to hell.
Do you think this is legit information, or this could be like another manipulation, like fake news?
Yeah. Well, I just saw, how they scroll stuff at the bottom. There's a name for that. I can't think of the name of it right now. but they just scrolled it down at the bottom while they were talking about the strikes. Of course, Macron and the prime minister, all these 1% toadies for the 1% are saying they're going to break the strike, like Reagan did with the air traffic controllers, back in 1980. But it would be much more difficult here because the unions are at least a quantitative force in France in terms of their numbers.
He was talking about deploying the army, I heard, right?
Yeah,
Macron.
yeah. They're obviously very, very desperate, and they're talking about trying to hire people, but you just can't hire people to go in and run a multi-billion-dollar petroleum refinery. These people are highly qualified, highly trained, highly experienced, and you just can't stick a truck driver that drives between Antwerp and Paris and stick them on a truck full of gasoline. It's again a very dangerous, and you have to be trained to know how to operate a gas truck or a diesel truck, hauling this stuff. So he can do it, but if a private in the French army, is handed a manual, how to refine, number 95 gasoline.
I know,
How's
right?
that going to work? It's just
it's
not
insane. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
insane. Even the thought process here. So Jeff, those lines that I've seen at the front of the gas stations, is it all across France?
Oh yeah, there are gas stations here. Right around where I live in Normandy, in fact, right on the coast across from England. We wave to Southampton every morning, there's gasoline stations that have no diesel. There's gasoline stations that only have number 95 regular. There are other gas stations that have no fuel at all. Luckily, my wife and I, a couple of 3 months ago, just thinking something, with all the madness going on in the world, we've got about 50 liters in 2 big jerry cans just in case. But yeah, the strikes are still going on, and I would, and of course it's an inconvenience for us, and of course it's an inconvenience. And I just visited, I was in Paris, and it's really bad there. I mean, cars are just literally being, stopping. They're running out of gas on the streets in Paris. But there has to be some kind of a catalyst to put an end to this madness here, with the neoliberal, Lisbon Treaty of 2009, destroying, the everything that Europe had after World War II, and I was hoping that maybe somehow the Yellow Vests could maybe get involved in these strikes, but they don't like the unions because they know the unions are part of the power structure and can only offer temporary or isolated or select. As I said, they'll take care of their members, and then the rest of the country, the rest of the people, the Yellow Vests, the other protesters, they don't give a damn. And so that's the problem. They can only maybe be a temporary salvo against the neoliberal gangsters in Paris.
So do you think, because this sounds to me like if they would not be divided as they are, the impact of this would actually bring some significant change, as I'm understanding.
It would, but Anya, this is what they always do. I mean, this is classical imperial tactics. When the Irish and the Native Americans and the blacks got together in the United States in the 19th century and the early 20th century, they'd give the Irish some breadcrumbs, to make them feel, superior, pull the Irish away from the natives and the blacks to destroy any kind of cohesion and they're very, very good at it. And it would be wonderful to see CGT and the other unions stick together, but historically speaking, that has not been the case.
So let me ask you here, they are aiming for increase in their salaries, correct?
Because of the terrible inflation here.
Okay, and do you think when that will be agreed, let's say they will get it, they will stop this, or how do you see this going forward, Jeff? What will be the end of it? The army or?
Well, I mean, and of course, you know, France, you know, France is, in terms of protesters, is at least as violent as the United States is against, you know, reds, browns, blacks, and yellows and poor whites. The French police are incredibly violent with their citizens, and so they could go in and smash a few heads, you know, with the CGT. But to be honest with you, I think that's just empty talk, because between you and me, these unions are part of the power structure. I mean, they are part and parcel of the elites. And it would be counterproductive for the government to try to go in and smash some heads like they do with the yellow vests, who they've, you know, injured, you know, thousands and thousands and thousands, some very, very seriously. I don't, and imprisoned many thousands. I don't see them doing that with the unions, because the unions are basically allies of the 1%.
So that is like orchestrated, Jeff. It sounds to me.
We have to be quite honest with you. Yeah, I mean, what's going to happen is what typically what happens is, you know, Total or Esso, ExxonMobil, will cut a deal with one of the unions, and then those guys will say, okay, we're ready to go back to work. And so then the other unions say, well, you give us what they got, and then we'll go back to work too. And so no, I am not optimistic. They're all going to get a raise of some kind. I don't know what it's going to be. They're all going to get a raise. It's just a question of how much. Obviously, Total and Total and Esso are offering X%, and the unions want this, and there'll be something in the middle. But yeah, a lot of this is just, you know, Potemkin, you know, kabuki theater. I mean, it's just, you know,
yes,
for the unions to show that they're standing up for the people, but they really aren't. They just want a pay raise, and they only want a pay raise for their select group of members, and that's all, and nobody else matters, to be quiet. And it's very cynical. It's very, very cynical. The only group that is proposing broad-based help and support for the entire population, all the 99%, are the yellow vests, and the unions. The unions hate the yellow vests because they expose the hypocrisy of the unions, and the yellow vests want nothing to do with the unions because they know the unions are just basically straw men.
So this, just hearing what you're saying now, I'm getting another picture of it, and it looks to me like it will not only create more shortages because of the transportation issues now, but then when the goods arrive, then there will be another price increase, maybe even blamed or explained because of certain things that were taking place like that. I mean, I'm just thinking.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
So with this, how this yellow vest movement, is there any leverage that it has in France, Jeff? Because I don't follow it, to be honest. Like I have you to ask.
You can't, because they don't exist in the media. They are absolutely expunged from the media. It is a total media blackout. They will show a small, you know, they'll show a few people, you know, well, on Saturday, some yellow vests marched, you know, blah, 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 for this. how many there are in Lille and Bordeaux and Marseille and Caen and Lyon, nobody knows. They are absolutely expunged from the media, and so we don't know. We know they're out there. They really are the only movement that counts in France. They're the only ones who are supporting the ideals of the French Revolution of 1789, which was essentially a socialist revolution for the 99%. And they're the only ones who are selflessly, getting injured and imprisoned and hospitalized, not for their little core interest group, but for all the people of France. And let's be honest, the terrorist tactics of the Macron administration, violently attacking the yellow vests. And again, the statistics are just shocking. I mean, people have lost fingers, hands, arms, eyes. They've had their, rubber bullets, shot, into their heads, causing brain damage. Thousands and thousands and thousands have been arrested. Thousands have been imprisoned. And that has taken a huge toll. I mean, these fascist totalitarian tactics have put a damper on the yellow vests, because most of them are, in their 40s and 50s and 60s. These are idealists who grew up in post-war France, know the wonderful, the golden 30 years after World War II, when France was essentially a socialist country. There was broad-based prosperity for the 99%, and stability, and mostly societal harmony. And so there's most of them are that age. There's not a bunch of teenagers out there, who are doing this. These are older people who have had, who are working careers. And so it's taken a toll on them. I mean, if you've been gassed with highly toxic, tear gas and had eyes poked out with water cannons in your face, it reduces the number of people who are willing to go out and protest.
Yes, it's horrifying. Tell me, Jeff, now, how is the situation with
I know this is not good news, but
no, because I'm very visual. It's like
I'm not very positive right now about what's going on here. It's just awful.
How is the bank? Okay, I want to ask you this question because in Poland, there have been some banks, especially one bank that I will be talking about in a separate video, that banks are falling apart, pretty much. That's what I want to say. And some of them are collapsing. How is it in France? How is the banking situation, and how is the inflation? I want to ask you, the real inflation, not the fake numbers.
Yeah, well, first off, the banks, again, I'm not trying to disparage Poland, but the Polish economy is not the French economy. I mean, there's a different
Yes.
magnitude. There's a different magnitude here. Let's face it, the European Central Bank is continuing to photocopy literally, boatloads of euros. They're just quantitative easing is nothing more than a euphemism, a 25 cent BS word, meaning we are photocopying Mount Everest of money to give to the banks to keep them from going under. That's basically all that is. France, of course, has some of the world's biggest banks: Société Générale, Paribas, Banque Nationale de Paribas, Crédit Agricole. These are some of the world's biggest banks, and Poland probably doesn't have some of the world's biggest banks. So in terms of liquidity, the European Central Bank is going to make sure that the banks in Germany, Deutsche Bank, these other, globally significant banks. Although the four biggest banks in the world are all state-owned Chinese banks, but still, France is going to get more euros than Poland, and that's just, or Greece or Portugal, or or
we are
Eastern.
we are not on euro, thank God. Actually, we still have Polish currency. We have.
You still have the zloty?
Yep. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
really? Okay. Well, I didn't. Okay, I was going to say that, and I thought, well, they must be in the euro. Oh, so if you're not in the eurozone, well, you're at least better off not having. So that makes it, but it does make it more difficult for the Poles then, because then they're printing, they're photocopying zlotys, and they can only use zlotys in their economy, whereas the eurozone is much bigger, and they can, okay, well, that would explain why there's been some problems with the banks. I've heard there's problems, in Turkey, terrible, and 80-90% inflation in Turkey with
Argentina, huge.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And of course, the big run on the British pound, and them. I read where they were the Bank of England, which is essentially the Rothschilds. And the trillionaire dictators, they're pumping, of course, with interest, pumping £5 billion pounds a day into the bond market to buy up British pound
yes.
bonds. So yeah, there's a lot of stress. Obviously, the two that are going to be that will be able to ride out this train wreck, this impending train wreck, is going to be the dollar and the euro, just because they're bigger economies. Japan's yen has depreciated by 40%. They're photocopying money like crazy. The only stable countries are countries of Russia, China. Are two right off the bat, because and of course China prints its own money. It does not loan money to, the central bank doesn't loan money to private bankers to borrow it back, at 20 times the interest rate, like the Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank. So yeah, it's and the inflation is much worse.
How is it, Jeff?
It's bad. I was just noticing, we used to be able to buy a bag of onions, a nice sized bag of onions with 7 or 8 onions in it, for €2, 2.5 euros. Now we get a little tube of 4 onions for the same price. I mean, that's just one example. The inflation is bad. Electricity, restaurants are closing down. Small businesses are closing down because they can't afford the electricity. Things are gonna, and then when the winter's coming, natural gas, which is now coming from the United States for 4 to 7 times the price of Russian gas for all the people.
That was intentional. Yep,
of course,
that was intentional.
Absolutely. And you and I know they are. I mean, this whole thing is an Anglo-Saxon Zionist, if you will, also including Anglo-Saxon Zionist plan to literally deindustrialize Europe, deindustrialize Germany, basically suck all of the assets, human and industrial and technological, out of Europe. And send it all to the United States to try to save the American economy. So it's
one more
terrible.
thing. One more thing, because before I forget, the situation with crime and immigration. How does this look like in France right now? It's all over Europe at this point. But how safe is there, and how overall you see this? Maybe in Normandy is different, I don't know.
Well, we live in a little village of 500 people, so on the coast. So if there's any criminals, they can only come from the South. They can't come from across the channel, not yet. Immigration is still a huge problem. People are very upset. I hear people say, I was in Social Security yesterday, and I was trying to get my retirement done. I've been working on it for 6 months. And these people are not racist. These are not racist people. But they said, well, a couple of North Africans walked in, and one of them said, hi, this is my friend, you know, from Morocco. He just got here. And the lady who was 2 meters away from my friends, you know, the lady next to him said, well, that's no problem. And in 5 minutes, this new immigrant had Social Security, a housing check, medical, everything in 5 or 10 minutes. And he literally just got off the boat or the airplane. So and my friends, they still don't have their retirement. They're still trying to get it. And that was 2 months ago.
Crazy.
So
it's all over the world. It's crazy, Jeff.
A lot of animosity against immigrants. And again, these are not racist people. But the joke is, it's too bad my name and it's too bad my name is not Muhammad, or it's too bad my name is not Fatima, or I'd have all this stuff. Ukrainians, you know, have come in here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they get housing. They get
you should see. You should see here. You should see here. You should see here. That's exactly what you're saying is the same. Yes, I think it's in every country, like in United States was the same with the southern border, right? The same thing.
But all of this, the Syrians, the Yemenis, the Iraqis, all of the Libyans, the sub-Saharan Africans, you know, who are coming across the Mediterranean, and you know, and many of them die, you know, trying to get here. This is, again, all intentional. This is all being done on purpose to create civic disharmony, social disharmony, to also put pressure on wages. You know, if somebody, well, what do you want to raise for? I've got 10 Africans outside who are ready to work for two euros an hour. You know, I mean, so it's the same thing in the United States. Hey, I've got Mexicans, man, they'll work for half your price. So this is all very, very, very planned, all very intentional. And also by making people upset about all these immigrants getting all of these post-war French socialist benefits, then it turns people against their own system, their own socialist system, demanding that this be stopped and that be stopped. And it's literally cutting off their noses in spite of their faces. But man, these people have been wrecking societies and wrecking economies for thousands of years, and they are really, really good at it. That's just all there is to it. You know, to their financial benefit and their power and their totalitarian control over society and the people. It's just the only good thing. Let me just say, there is one good thing, and that is that so far, what are we, October 15th. It's October 15th. So far, what my wife and I call the Nazi pass, the COVID, the COVID injection.
Be careful with the words.
But they were talking about reinstating the Nazi pass and the curfews and the you know, all that, where you can't go anywhere unless you have your QR code that you've been injected twice or 3 times if you're over 60 and all this other stuff. And then of course my wife and I refuse to get them. So far, even though Ursula von der Leyen, the Wicked Witch of the West in Brussels, the head of the European Commission, she announced back in August that everything's passed, you know, that everything's set to reinstall the Nazi pass all over pan-European Nazi pass for the genetic injections. So far, with all of the chaos and inflation and everything else going on, that so far has not been, brought up. But that we're waiting. My wife and I are waiting for the other shoe to drop, because that would keep the yellow vests off the street. That would keep the unions off the street. We would be back to the, a dystopian, totalitarian, COVID.
But I
COVID
think
nightmare.
this is right now, just have to be more careful with words, because it triggers algorithm here. Jeff, this is now about economy. You know this. This is about crushing completely the financial system.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that topic, it's not going to come up to the surface again, but just my personal opinion, I think the main focus right now for them is how to destroy the economies and the infrastructures and overall European Europe as a continent, pretty much.
Absolutely. And then of course the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and the Morgans and the Schiffs, and the House of Windsor, and and all the trillionaire dictators are going to come in and buy up all the assets in Europe that have been destroyed for 10 cents on the euro. They'll buy it all up. I mean, they already are. All these millions of small and medium businesses that have been bankrupted by the last 2.5 years of medical terrorism. It's unfortunately their plan is working, and we can see where it's coming from. It's coming from Washington. It's coming from London. It's coming from the World Economic Forum. It's coming from guys like Soros and Zuckerberg and Bezos and all these other dictators. That's where it's coming from.
So Jeff, I know we will connect again, and I hope there will be some change, maybe some good change.
I don't
somehow happening. But for now, I think we have to focus on our health, I think, and on our spirit. This is the priority.
I just meditated this morning and took lots of vitamins and supplements.
Yeah, and to trust that there is divine power watching all of this, and it will not allow humanity to completely destruct itself.
And remember family too. My wife and I are now proud grandparents for the first time. Our older daughter in the United States had a baby daughter.
Congratulations, Jeff. When did this happen? Just recently?
The end of June.
Oh my goodness. All the best.
And we have scraped and scraped and scraped and scraped, and we bought super cheap tickets to go back for Christmas. So we're going to see our daughter and son-in-law and my family back in Oklahoma over Christmas. So
wonderful.
And see Mila Chloe, our new granddaughter.
Beautiful. You see, this is the perfect ending for this video, because at the end of the day,
I agree.
This is like love will save us all, honestly.
That's right. Absolutely.
Beautiful. All the best, Jeff. Thank you so much for finding time for connecting. And before we end this, just to let you know, if you want to see Jeff, connect with Jeff, you have all the links down below this video. Thank you, everyone.
And I will promote your show on my channel, my thing, and tell people to support you too. All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jeff.
Solidarity.
Bye-bye.